Today we're going to be learning 5 different tips on creating better lighting in the Blender game engine. So you can go ahead and also read this in text version on my blog if you want to. But if you want to continue with the tutorial, we get straight into it. So first of all, we're going to make sure we are in Blender Game and in GLSL, of course, just to make sure everyone is, so they're not asking questions about why it's not working. So come over here in, down to shading, GLSL. Down here to the type, viewport shading type, and we're going to go to textured, and should be all good now. Alright, so one of the things I see a lot, and it definitely could do with people just changing it a little bit and it will help the games a lot, is Blender games tend to be a bit too dark. So what you're going to go ahead and do to fix this problem is pretty simple. Grab your lamp, come over to the lamp settings and just change energy to higher. Now instantly you can see this looks a lot better, a lot brighter. Of course if you're going for a dark kind of feeling, then you're going to go with the other one, but usually you want to go for this lighter looking look. So if we change this to sun, instantly you see, wow, this is blown out. No, this you can't use this. But the reason for this is that if we add a texture on this, it should look fine. So let's go ahead and add a texture on this and see how it looks. Alright, so we are back here, and as you can see, it does look quite good and it's not too blown out. This texture is generally a bit not the best because I made it myself. And as you can see, these lines and seams, but it's not important. As you can see, the lighting works fine on it, and it's not blown out like it used to be before. It just looks like a bright day. So as you can see, with the point lamp, it looks quite good as well. And it might even look a bit too dark here. So really, you want to kind of get the feeling you want. But as you can see, now the lighting looks great. As you can see now, if we go back to point 1, you can just see how dark that looks. Definitely point 2. So one thing you'll notice here is that the shadows are completely dark, and you don't want that in your game. You want some nice light shadows. Let's smooth that up. You want some light in these shadows, kind of look like these bounce lighting, so it looks a bit more realistic. But we don't actually have bounce lighting, so how do you make this look like it's got some sort of bounce lighting? It's not completely dark. Well, the answer is actually very simple. Just go ahead and add a lamp. Hemi. Add that. Rotate it a little bit. There we go. Then I'm going to change this energy to 0.5. And we're going to go ahead and change this to a bluish color. And as you can see now, it's kind of working. 0.5 may be good, or 0.43 might be, depending on what you want. But as you can see now, it looks like we have some nice bounce lighting behind there. I mean, of course you need ambient occlusion and stuff, but you're going to have to do that with some kind of shader or bake it in. But as you can see there, we've got some nice bounce lighting, but one problem you'll see is that if we move this up, ooh, it's all black under there. So the way we can fix that, duplicate this down, rotate it, change this to a lower value, change this to a brown color, and as you can see now, we have a nice color of the ground. Of course, you're going to want to have this whatever color the ground is. So if the ground's a nice white, then you're going to want this to be a white color under here or something. But as you can see, now we have the blue simulating the sky and the brown simulating the ground. So there we go. So there is how you create some fake bounce lighting. Alright, so one thing you might have noticed when you make a game is that your player will be walking around all good. Let's go this up. Hey, that looks a bit weird, but you need to change the text. But your player goes over here and, oh no, they lost their shadow, and it doesn't look like how it should. So what you think of first is you go, oh, grab the sun and then go Control P and then go Object. Right, and you're like, oh, that looks good. Great, the shadow follows around, it can go anywhere, but then you rotate, and the shadow rotates, and you do not want that, because that just doesn't look correct. So the way we can fix this is by undoing all of that, and we're going to grab our player, and we're going to go Shift S, cursor to selection, and then we're going to go Control D, Alt M at center. Now what it's going to do is it's going to get this vertex. It's going to merge all of those vertices into the center of where the object is. Now the reason I put the cursor at the center is if it hadn't gone to the center, what you can go ahead and do is you can go selection to cursor, because you want it at the center or else it's going to do some weird movement when you rotate. So now we can go to textured, select our sun, select our cube, make sure we have that vertex selected, and we can go Control P, make vertex parent. Now what you see here is the sun is parented to this vertex, but when we rotate it doesn't do anything to the sun. So what the nice thing about this, as you can see, we can rotate around, nothing happens, but when we move, something does happen. So you can have a first person thing where you're looking around, but it's not going to affect the rotation. So now what you see is we can move this around over here, we can rotate it, and the shadow is going to stay in the same place, but it can be wherever we like it. So definitely something you're going to want to do, and it's going to optimize your game instead of having shadows all over, which wouldn't work anyway. Alright, so another thing to change up your lamps and make them look less like the same and just a static color is to add a texture to them. So the way you do that is you make sure you have your lamp selected, then go into the texture panel, make sure you are on this type of the lamp. So click on this little light bulb, click new, open up your texture, and I have one in my texture panel, and I'm just going to choose this clouds. And now what you see here is you can see that we have this texture coming over the whole thing, and as you can see when I move the sun around, it moves around it as well. Now in this case you may not want this with this lamp, so you may want to add this to one of the hemis, you know how we have a hemi for this this light, so you might want to add it to that. But in this case, it should be fine now. For now, but it may be a bit too much. So what you can come down is you can come down to influence and change this to a lower value, so you can barely see it. But now you still have that nice kind of texture, and you could just have your hemi moving like tiny bit. Of course, not our sun, because our sun would need to be next to our play. But you could have your hemi moving a little bit, and it would look like shadows from the clouds were like moving across the ground, which should create a really cool effect for your game. So you're probably not going to want to have it as strong as this. You're going to probably want to have it quite weak. Even that's a bit too strong, but there we go. That is how you can add a texture to your lamp. Now, one of the most useful and I think underutilized features is this. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it most useful, but it is a really cool feature. Is this custom curves under fall off in this little thing here. So we're going to come to custom curves, and you can see a new panel pops up here. Fall off curve. I wonder what this is. Open it, and you can see we have this this curve that we can change. So up here is the white. Oh, undo. And down here is the black. So basically everything that's white goes here, and everything that's black's here, and in between. So when it goes from black to, as you can see here, as it goes from, let's make this a bit easier to see. Let's get rid of these. As you can see, when it goes from black to white, here, that white is right here. That's that point, and that black is this point. So if I was to move this up, maybe it's the other way around. Alright. Let's go ahead and move this up. Really doesn't seem to be making a difference. I know what we need to do. If we move this up here, as you can see, this fall off is pretty much nothing. Of course it does have a fall off, but it's definitely a lot less. So what this allows us to do is to change from this black to this white. It can do with distance as well. We can change it. So let's go ahead and grab in the middle of here and move this up. And as you can see, it's giving us a different effect. Like this is more smooth lighting now. This is more hard edged lighting. So as you can see, there's a nice hard edge here as it goes out. Now, let's go ahead and click this, click this. So what you're seeing here is an interesting effect of how the light is interacting on the scene now that we're using these custom curves. So as you can see, that black there is when the curve goes down. So let's get to a good point. So this white is this here, this black is this here, this white is this here, this black is this here, and this black white is this here, and this black is all of this. So as you can see, you can create some interesting effects. Definitely you'd have to play around with it. Mixed with the texture, you could probably create some neat effects as well. But you can see it's really interesting, and it creates some really interesting effects. So I definitely have a little bit more of a play around with this if you were interested in creating new and cool lighting things. So there we go. There is a list of 5 things to make your lighting look a bit better and a bit different and just better than everyone else's. So hope this tutorial helped you, and if you want to see more tutorials like this and tutorials on different subjects, I game out with a new tutorial every single week on the Blender game engine and different things on the Blender game engine. So I hope you have a great week, and I hope you keep blendering. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that has subscribed, because we have reached over 1,000 subscribers, which is ridiculous. So thank you so much for subscribing. I hope you have a great week, and I hope to see you back next week. Goodbye.